Hey guys and gals, and welcome to Yo-Yo Talk. This is a live but partially pre-recorded episode. I am actually physically in London right now as you're watching this, so some of the stuff was pre-recorded. But it still will be a great show, and you may ask me why, and it is because I have the legendary Valerie Oliver appearing a little bit later. Valerie, as you know, is one of the three most recent inductees into the National Yo-Yo Hall of Fame. The other two were Andre Bolet and Dr. Popular. So we'll be having a really nice interview with Val. We will be having our pop quiz at the end of the show live. Sean will be running that, and so make sure you stick around for the pop quiz because that part is live. If I look a little drawn in the face, that is because a couple weeks ago I had COVID, and yes, I was double vaccinated and boosted, and no, I did not have asymptomatic COVID. I was quite symptomatic, muscle aches and the whole bit. Anyhow, that was a real enjoyable experience, but it led to something else because I probably got a little dehydrated, which then caused a nice giant kidney stone to plug me up. And when the kidney ain't happy, no other body organs are happy. And that won me a little trip to the emergency room and laser surgery. And now I'm sitting here with a foot-long stent running from my kidney down to my bladder. And let me tell you, it's a lot of fun to have if you're a masochist. For everyone else, it feels like a Martian lava worm incessantly munching on your kidney and urinary tract while contorting itself into little tiny knots and trying to move through your ureter. But anyway, if you happen to be a monk who is into religious self-flagellation, I got great news. I got something better. And you got to try it. All you have to do is do your penance with a stent for a couple weeks, and that will get you straight to heaven. It may also kill you from the pain, speeding up the entire process as well. So, again, I digress. While we're waiting on folks signing in, just again a reminder, we're having Val Oliver on the show in a few minutes for a great interview. I am going to answer one burning question. From a viewer. They were wondering, what's up with my hat? And you can see, got the hat pinned up on the side. That's a medallion. That's actually the Lucky's Lake Swim medallion. Some folks call this a cowboy hat or Australian bush hat or a cavalry hat. I just call it my hat. And I've been wearing hats like this since I was 12 and shooting muzzleloader rifles with my dad competitively. And I started putting one brim up with an old horse blanket pin I had found. And the rest is apparently history. I'm not sure when I got the idea of doing it. But if you look at a clip of this zombie hunter from the 1968 not Dawn of the Dead, it was the Night of the Living Dead movie. That's that George Romero movie. That's the cult classic that probably defines zombies as we know them today. This guy had a pinned up hat. Random chance occurrence? I don't think so, but I don't actually remember watching the movie as a kid, but I suspect I did, and that image just stuck somewhere here in the old brain. So here I am at 17 in the Kentucky High School Swimming Championships, and you see the hat there. And then I found this footage literally last week. It's 40 years old. It's from a show called Real People, and if you're over the age of 50, probably remember that show. It was on national television, and I was actually on the show twice. Once for a dressed chicken contest, and no, I did not dress up as a chicken. You dress the chicken up. I went as Colonel Sanders, and my chicken was actually named Finger Licking. And we got second place in the contest, which was a ribbon. First place was $150 cash, which was exactly the amount of my rent for a month. So I was very disappointed I did not win, but they used my little segment on the trailer advertising the show for that week. So it was kind of fun, but everybody kept asking me, where's your Real People t-shirt? Because that's what you got if you went on the show. And I was coaching a swim team at the time, and everybody wanted to say, where's your Real People t-shirt? Well, you really weren't on if you don't have a t-shirt. So I saw they were coming back to Boonesboro, Kentucky, filming again this race called the Ski Walker Race. Now, I had no idea what a ski walker was, but I said, I'm going to take my chances and get on the show. So I went on and bought a pair of these things. They're blow-up things that skis fit into, and you shift your legs back and forth, and theoretically, you can walk across water. And they were having a race across the Kentucky River. So, but my goal was to get a Real People t-shirt, not to win the race. So I got me a couple kickboards. That's what you use to kick with if you're a competitive swimmer, and a roll of surgical tape. Went with scrubs and my hat, of course, and positioned myself in front of the producer, and just started taping these kickboards onto these things that are supposed to have skis inserted in. And he's looking at me, and I'm kind of dressed funny compared to everybody else who was in swimming suits. And I saw him talking to assistant. I thought, I got him. And sure enough, he comes walking down to me, and he goes, hey, buddy, what you doing? And I said, well, I got these kickboards. They're made out of styrofoam. They're wider. They're going to give me more stability, and I planned on walking away with this race. And he goes, do you mind if we interview you on Real People? And I said, can I wear my cape? And he goes, you got a cape? I said, sure, doesn't everyone? And pull it out of my bag. And he says, oh, this is going to be great. So he was very happy. And they actually ferried me across the river because they knew there was probably no chance in the world I was going to be able to walk on those things very far. And they didn't want me to take the header into the river until the right time. So everybody else had to go across the lake. I got special treatment. They ferried me across. And then we started racing. Of course, I thought I did fantastic because I actually was able to stand up on those things. And then I was able to give them a giant fail. And that is exactly the shot that they were looking for. And at the end, the producer came in and says, that's great. You're going to be the feature person on this episode. Is there anything I can do for you? And I said, yes, there is. You can get me a Real People t-shirt. And he says, that's not a problem. And so that's the end of the story. And yes, I did get a Real People t-shirt. So I was famous amongst the little swimmers that I coached after that because they knew I really had been on Real People. Now, anyway, I don't know how I got off on that tangent, but let's get back to Yo-Yo Talk. We have more people signed in. So for tonight's guest, there are a few yo-yos I want to talk about, or things that are interesting to me. Here is a yo-yo you cannot buy at auction. It is only one you can earn, and nobody has this yo-yo yet because, except for me, of course, because they haven't been released until May 28th, which is the annual Golden Mile. And that's a race that I host where we give real gold medals, double the gold content of Olympic gold, and real silver medals, 16 ounces of sterling silver. So we get Olympians coming in and all that. But if you are just an average Joe like the rest of us, you will receive a lot of other swag, which includes this 2022 Golden Mile Yo-Yo. And the only way you get it is to swim the race. So if you're a few swimmers out there, make sure you sign up now. Now it's worth driving down to Orlando or flying into Orlando for. Now, this is some auction items I saw. And this was actually going to be my nasty dog of the day. It was what I call a target yo-yo. These are nondescript yo-yos without seals. They have those target shapes or concentric circles, and we've all seen them. They sell at dime stores for, a dime. I mean, there's wood versions and there's metal versions, but not really worth collecting. This was labeled, though, on the little header card on the poly bag. It was labeled Jewel Deluxe Jewel Top. And that kind of triggered me as I'm going, well, not only is it not deluxe, but it's not jeweled either. So where do they get off putting that on the header of the poly bag? And the seller wanted $120 for it. So I said, okay, that's good enough to be my dog of the day. So I was downloading the photos, and then I downloaded the close-up shot, and I noticed, oh wait, this actually does have little rhinestone jewels. I've never seen jewels on one of these Target yo-yos before. So I thought, well, that makes it too interesting to be the nasty dog of the day. And because it was so overpriced. So for fun, I just threw out a lowball bid of $20, expecting to be totally rejected. And he of course accepted it because that's probably worth more, worth less than that. So anyway, it didn't end up being the dog of the day, but it did end up being in my collection. So this next yo-yo is kind of interesting. It's a Marvel yo-yo, and it's an ad premium yo-yo that they were giving away for Marvel Mania, which I think was some kind of restaurant, probably in California, using Marvel characters, maybe 80s, 90s. I don't know exactly when. But the reason the yo-yo is interesting is because it's autographed, and it's signed by Dr. Doom and Spidey and some of this, but those are just people that were there that were wearing costumes. So those are pretty much useless autographs. But it also has the signature of Stan Lee. And if you know anything about comic books, or especially Marvel comic books, you know Stan Lee, he is the man. And if you've watched any of the Marvel movies, you'll almost always see him in little cameos on all the films until he passed away a few years ago. So to have an autographed Marvel yo-yo with Stan Lee's signature, now that's kind of cool. But I thought the minimum bid was I think it's like $199. So not cool enough for me to bid, but whoever gets this yo-yo, I think it is a groovy autographed yo-yo to have in your collection. And it's probably one of a kind. I can't imagine there being very many of those out there. So anyway, just take a look at that auction if you're a big Marvel yo-yo fan. So, and then I thought this was kind of curious. This is a set of earrings. Looks like it's probably from the late 50s, maybe early 60s. They're shaped like yo-yos, not usable yo-yos, but they do look like yo-yos. Earrings, this is what you get for a girlfriend when you want to break up with you. These were going for about $45. I don't know if anybody bought them or not, but that was a little too much for me. And I still like my wife, and I wanted to stay married, so I didn't buy them for her. The final thing I wanted to show you was these political yo-yos. I know there's presidential yo-yos going back to LBJ. I haven't found any earlier than that, but this is a Joe Biden and Kamala Harris yo-yo. Two different yo-yos that are set. It has the presidential seal and vice presidential seal. And they're asking $175 for the set, which with two yo-yos is still way too much. I think in a few years they'll go for 20 or 30 bucks each, unless inflation continues at its current rate, and then they will be $1,000 each. But this was the first time I saw Biden and Kamala up for auction on eBay, so there you have it. Okay, so what's going to go on next is we're going to have Valerie Oliver on for an in-depth, no-holds-barred interview. And after Valerie's interview, we're going to run the pop quiz. That'll be live. So you'll need to answer in the comment section. Sean will be running that. I may be watching from London, but not if it's 3 in the morning there. Anyway, our guest tonight is Valerie Oliver. Val Oliver, only the second person to be ever admitted into the Hall of Fame who is a female. She has taught hundreds of thousands of kids to play the yo-yo through her and her husband's company. Obviously, her husband is Dale Oliver, another Hall of Famer. Their company is Spintastics. She is an expert thrower and demonstrator in her own right, as well as one of the top throwers in the country. And she has 6 decades, if you can imagine that, of yo-yoing under her belt. She started at age 6 and probably entered her first contest at 7 or 8. So let's talk to Val. So folks, as promised, we have Val Oliver here. Val, as you know, was only the second woman in history to be inducted into the National Yo-Yo Hall of Fame. She was this year's inductee, which was actually for 2021. So Val, thanks for coming on the show.
Hey, thanks for having me. That's awesome.
Well, we'll get right into it. I've got a lot of questions for you, and I know a lot of the folks watching are burning to hear the answers. So let's go back. And how did it all begin? How did you get started in yo-yos? What's your first memory?
Well, I had an older brother, 5 years older, and an older sister, 10 years older. And I was a tomboy, and my sister was 10 years older. So she was off doing girl things, when I was 5, 6 years old, following my brother around the leech. So sports, whatever he did, I wanted to do. and he got interested. He had seen, I believe he saw Bob Rule on the Axel's Treehouse show, which was a local television show
Wow.
in Minneapolis, doing tops. And then, of course, he would say, "We're going to be at Clancy Drug," or whatever it was. And
So did you get your start in tops first, or was
Minneapolis.
it yo-yos first?
Well, that's the question that I started asking him lately, and he said he remembers us seeing a yo-yo guy at the Edina Theater, which is a suburb of Minneapolis, but it was just a demo kind of thing. And at that time, they were doing television ads, of course.
Oh, right,
Duncan,
right.
So we were seeing ads, but he believes the first guy that came was our mentor, Bob Rule, who's still our good friend,
Sure.
which is awesome after 60 years.
It's
But
amazing how many people have been mentored by Bob Rule that are in the
yeah,
Hall
well,
of Fame. So
yeah, for sure.
It's all about mentoring in yo-yos.
Right. So I would say, and so I followed Forrest no matter what he did. And, honestly, what 12-year-old boy wants his 6-year-old sister
Right.
hanging around? But I do not remember ever him shooing me away, whether we were doing sports or especially a little sister, not even a little brother, right? Doing sports or doing this.
Yeah, right.
He just, anyway, so when we were besties, so we would go to the drugstore and see the demo, and then he would say, well, now he's going to the next store, and we go, where's that? Where are we going? And then Mom would hop us in the car and we'd go to the next, we'd follow him around. And, but we believe that it was Yo-Yo's, Spin Tops first, because Bob would come during Spin Top season, and it was Ken Valerie who came during Yo-Yo season. And so then the next season, Ken Valerie came. So then we did the same thing, follow him around stuff. But we got closest with Bob, and he was, he mentored us with both yo-yos and tops whenever he was in town. I mean, he knew our family. He'd come over for dinner. I mean, he could see the passion we had. And I mean, he's the one that really, self-esteem.
And what years were those?
That was 62. I would have been 6. And then in 63, go ahead. In 63.
So you were right at the peak of that Duncan TV advertising, that really huge craze in around on 62, 63.
Right. So then
when Bob was the last,
when Bob would be on Axel Treehouse with Willie Ketchum, I mean, I was like a little kid. So to be on TV with them was like, wow, I'm on TV. Right. So that was awesome. But that was 62 that I was 6. So I was probably just in the little neighborhood contest, getting the little Duncan, yo-yo trophies and top trophies.
Sure. Now,
in 63, Forrest won. He got nationals in Spin Top.
Oh, wow.
We got sent to Disneyland for Spin Top.
Wow.
So he could take himself and one other. So he took my dad, of course, but Dad, of course, took Mom and me. We all went. And
so was that like held in conjunction with the yo-yo contest, or was that completely separate weekends?
I believe it was together.
I'm
gonna have to check that. I'm pretty sure it was together because we were doing both, but he was doing tops, and he came in, or he messed a simple trick and was just devastated. The next year he won again, 64. So we all go. And that time he came in second in Spin Top. And there was a question because he was doing yo-yos too. And he was like, well, what if I win the yo-yo state too? But that didn't happen. So he came in second in.
You remember what the prize was for him back then?
That was Spin Top. But Bob was there in 63 and he was not there in 64.
But what was the Spin Top prize for second place? Do you remember?
And it was, yeah, I've got the trophy. He gave it to me.
Oh.
I've got the trophy up. I can show you.
So it was just a trophy. It wasn't like a big scholarship.
It was like it's a 2-foot trophy with 4 big spin tops. And,
oh, nice.
You know, it was awesome. Now, 40 years later, I won second in spin top nationals. Right. It took me 40 years longer.
So, you actually were part of a music video. It was a country music video. Was it Clint Black? Is that, or was it Clint?
No, Clint Daniels.
Clint Daniels. Clint Daniels.
Clint Black is famous.
Oh, okay. I get confused. So anyway, I'm not a huge country music fan. But you and several other yo-yo people were involved in the making of that video. What was it?
When I Grow Up.
When I Grow Up, yes. So yeah. How did that happen? How did I
don't know how they found us, but it was
they were looking for yo-yo players.
Looking for yo-yo people. This song is about when I grow up. I want to be a kid. I just want to stay a kid and have fun, and that's what all of us do, right?
Sure.
In this community, anyway. And so that was their idea, was to have yo-yos. They didn't see the top until I got there, and they did put a little bit of that in there. But it was Dale Meyerberg, and they contacted me, and they contacted John Stangl.
Yeah.
The 2 Zink boys, Joel and Ryan Zink.
Right.
And then also the other couple kids in there were, I can't remember their name. I was trying to remember. It's probably on the credits, but they were the kids of a guy, I believe, that had a kiosk that sold bazillions of yo-yos.
What year was that? Was that during the?
That was '99.
During the yo-yo craze. That makes sense.
So yo-yos were crazy too. So I thought it would be, like it was awesome and it was fun. They flew us out to Nashville.
Neat.
And I
got the
used
star
your
treatment.
own clothes, but you saw it.
Yeah.
They dolled me up. You didn't even know it was me, but that was me.
Yeah.
Purple. And it was just awesome to spend the day like that. And then they flew us home. And
wow, what a great story.
It was just really, really fun experience.
Wow.
So look it up. It's on YouTube.
Yeah. We'll have to
see if you can figure out which one is me.
Yeah. We can tell. All right. All right. Fantastic. What was your first yo-yo that you remember throwing?
The first one is this tournament, which is also my favorite collectible.
Ah, nice.
It's all worn out on the edges. I didn't know it was going to be a collectible, of course.
Yeah, can you hold it up to the camera? I can't.
Yeah, except you know what? I'm not seeing you, so let me.
Oh, okay, so that's, I'm assuming I see the stripe. Is that a Cross Flags tournament?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
Yeah, hold it up a little bit higher, right about where your face level is.
Okay. Oh.
Up a little higher. There you go. Okay, there we go. There you have it. Favorite collectible and her original yo-yo. That's pretty cool that you have the original.
Because it's carved with my name and this flower, which I'm sure was Ken Polari.
Cool. Well, that's great that you know the history of the carver, because so many yo-yos we don't know actually who carved it. So
apparently a lot of them, Barney Akers had taught a lot of his group this flower.
Yeah, I've seen that flower design before. Yes.
Right.
Yeah, that's cool.
Right. And then this other one that I have that's carved is that I think is Ken also, is a spider.
Ah, nice.
But that's what I started with. But
and
then
that's when you entered your first competition at age 6 then.
I believe it. Well, I probably started at 6. I bet I was probably 7
before you actually started.
One of those newspaper articles that had photos of me, I think I was 8.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I wish I could see you now. I have to.
This out. Sorry.
No, it's my computer decided to do things.
Well, as long as we got you on our end looking good, so no worries there. So so. Throughout this, as you got older, did you have because I know, like in California, they would have the men's and the women's, or boys and girls, whatever you want to say. When you were having competitions in your other country, did they split them up into boys and girls in the yo-yo and top competitions?
When I'd follow the guy around?
Yeah.
No, it was we'd get in a big line, and you had 10
everybody. Okay, so you were just kind of every man and woman for himself.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So you competed against the boys. Interesting.
Of course I did.
All right. Well,
And I was a tomboy. I told
Yeah,
you.
yeah. Well, there's nothing wrong with that. How many women would you or girls would you see in these competitions? I assume it was largely male dominated.
Yeah, I don't.
I mean,
I'm
I
sure
can
that
say that probably there were contests you entered that you were the only girl. If I
I would say the majority of the time, yeah, for
Really
sure,
interesting. So you're a
for
real
sure.
groundbreaker in that arena too. That's
Yeah,
pretty
yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
So now that it comes up, what are your feelings? Because now obviously they have a women's division in nationals. Back, a
Right,
few years back. I mean, obviously Jennifer Braybrook won double A's and worlds and nationals as competing with the guys, so it can be
right.
done. What are your feelings
Right.
on that? Should we separate men and women in
Yeah,
yo-yo
I don't.
competition, or do you think it's just every man and woman for themselves?
Yeah, I'm kind of torn about that because, and I've tried to figure that. I haven't been treated any differently,
Right.
you know. Um, well, I take that back. There was one school I went and did. I'm standing there with all the kids sitting there waiting for the other classes to come in or something. And I had the yo-yo in my hand. I'm standing there with the yo-yo in my hand, right there. And this kid, little boy in the front, he says, "Where's the yo-yo man?" And I start getting, and then I'm just like, gee, I'm trying to make it obvious. I have this yo-yo in my hand. I said, gee, I don't know. Where do you think?
And did you start throwing some complex tricks?
No, not
Oh,
yet. And he's looking at the doors,
yeah,
wondering where he's coming in.
yeah,
So there is something. I mean, they just think it's a yo-yo man. I don't know,
yeah,
but I haven't been treated any differently other than that.
yeah.
But I have wondered about why it is because I feel like I don't want to be sexist or anything, but I feel like females tend to be, or many are better at fine motor, right?
Hmm.
And not always.
Yeah,
And boys are really good with big motor.
right.
I see that, not always, but, and so and this is a fine motor. So that doesn't make sense to me. And it certainly isn't anything that is, where you need muscle or some kind of thing. So it seems like
You don't think the
women could compete with men evenly, but I feel like I don't know if it's intimidating or what because there's so many.
You don't
Uh,
think the advantage of, and again, I'm talking about not prepubescent,
yeah,
12-year-olds, but there may not be that much difference. But once you've had, because guys typically that have gone through puberty, their reaction times are a little, I mean, subtly different and
mm-hmm,
quicker than women.
mm-hmm.
Obviously, they can generate more speed quicker and things like that, which
Yes,
in modern day yo-yo competition, I think gives
well, that's true,
a person an advantage. So
right?
I know it's important in my sport. Obviously, there's a lot of controversy with transgender swimming in women's competition, and I'm a very vocal opponent of that. I've trained with
Uh-huh.
women all my life, and that's just flat out not fair. And races that I host myself at my house, we just years ago we said we do it by genotype. We don't care how
Uh-huh.
everybody's welcome. We don't care how you identify yourself. You're welcome to identify however you want. But if you're going to race for awards,
Yeah,
there's an XX genotype division and an XY,
yeah,
and that's how we compete. But
yeah,
it hasn't become a controversy yet in yo-yos, but I
yeah.
think the divisioning is starting to happen with the women, and maybe that's a good thing for the sport.
But why there's more men is another question.
Yeah,
And
I've
all I
often
can,
wondered that.
I I think about it, I'm like, I had my brother and I was constantly learning because I had him around.
Sure.
And I think, boys tend to get together and do something. Like we go shoot baskets together, we go do yo-yo tricks together,
Right.
and you're helping each other and do, girls tend to get together and socialize and talk and,
Right.
they don't get together and shoot baskets typically,
Right. Right.
or do, let's just sit and do this thing together. I don't know.
Oh
It's
yeah.
more of a
Look, I
social
don't think
thing.
there's any question. Nobody, I think, would really argue men's brains and women's brains are different. I
So,
think that would be a tough
I think,
argument. So to
right.
say.
So I think it's that there's more support,
Amongst
because they're doing,
their peers.
um, with the
Probably so.
guys getting together. So and if you're not improving and you're not learning new things, it's going to fall away. So that keeps them active like that.
So what? I mean, you've taught how many kids do you think you've taught yo-yos over the years? Just give me a round number.
I'm sure it's close to 1 million. When I
Yeah,
figure
okay.
how many schools times how many kids per school and how many libraries and how many years I've done it, and the 2 yo-yo clubs I ran, and it's got to be. I'm sure it's at least 750,000.
Okay. In all your years of yo-yoing, who's the most famous person you would say you've met through yo-yoing?
Dale Oliver. Well, when I was a kid, I would say it was Axel in his treehouse,
Oh,
but
okay, sure.
I would say truly it was Tommy Smothers.
Okay, as many people
I've
in the
met,
Hall of Fame would say.
yeah, I've
Obviously.
met him 3 times. The first was in '95, which was the first when I finally realized yo-yos were happening. I missed the first couple of years, and by '94, I figured that out. So '95 was my first Worlds. It was at Vegas and then Chico, and Tommy happened to be doing shows there in Vegas. So a bunch of us yo-yo players went to see his show, and he did his little goofy thing that he does with yo-yos.
Sure.
And then he let the yo-yo people stay while the rest of the crowd left, and he goes, I was so nervous with all you guys out there. Like, why would you? Because we're yo-yo people, and we're,
Yeah, right.
Anyway, he was such a sweet guy. And then the next time was he came to Texas, so he knew we were here, and he was buying yo-yos from us with his logo on it. And so he gave us tickets, so we got backstage with him that time. But the funniest story with him is we were going to, Dale and I were going to Vancouver, I think just for vacation. I think it was Vancouver. It was in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
And his one of his staff called us and said, Tommy's out of town and he's out of string. He needs string. Can you get a string right away? And Dale said, well, where is he? And it's Vancouver. And he goes, oh, well, we're going to Vancouver. Leave some tickets at the back and we'll bring him string after the show. And so he left tickets and we brought the string, and he took us back, and he said, oh, how much do I owe you for the string? And Dale said, well, it's $30 for the string and $600 for the delivery. But so I would say he was the most famous one. And I remember Tommy Smothers. When I say his name to people now, they're like, well, who?
Yeah, I know.
Our age knows. So
everybody our age knows. Everybody our age certainly in yo-yos know who's Tommy Smothers is. What would you say the most, if you had to pick like a really bizarre story or something really that stands out in your mind in your career of yo-yoing and traveling, what would you say that would be?
Bizarre, well,
just unusual, or just something kind of strange happening?
Yeah, I have not hit myself very much, and when I have, it's not been bad. Or if it hurts, I just keep on. The show must go on, right? But I was hired by some store. I don't know if it was Air Traffic in Minneapolis or somewhere to stand outside their store at the mall and do tricks. So I'm doing tricks, and parents and kids, and then they want them to come in and buy the yo-yos, right?
Sure.
So So I throw a hard trapeze with the tiger shark, grabs, smacks me right in this bone.
Oh no!
And I was bleeding. I've never bled, and I'm like, well, I'm just gonna take a break, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I gonna do? And I go back, and I'm trying to say, this is really unusual. I throw it really hard. Your kids won't get hurt. Really,
Right,
you
right.
should try this. You should still. Oh, it was horrible.
Yeah.
But a positive story that I remember when I was teaching, it was middle school, which are sometimes can be a little rough because they know everything about everything, and they want to do yo-yos because it's cool, but they don't want to admit it.
Yeah.
And so there was a girl, and she was like, I don't want to do this, blah, blah, blah. She was over by the stage, and I said, okay, well, let me just help you one time, and then whatever. So I held her hand, and I think it was power throw or something, and we did it together. And I said, I just wanted you to, feel how it was, but you don't have to, whatever. And I left her, and she was just crabby, like, this is stupid, and blah. And I left, and I was helping other kids, and all of a sudden I hear her go, I did it. And I look over, and she big smile. It looked like a whole different person.
Yeah.
And it was stuff like that really gets you. It just takes a little bit to make somebody feel good about themselves and get, and I guess that's what I've been doing for 25 years. I'm not in the limelight. I'm not the famous competitor, but I can teach, and I can get,
That's great.
make
That's a
people
great,
feel good about themselves.
that's a great
feel
legacy
like
to
they can
have.
do something.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
Okay, let me ask you this. If you had to choose between a top or a yo-yo, I know this is,
Ooh.
now I know.
You can't ask me that.
Which is this going to be? Now, keep in mind, you're on Yo-Yo Talk.
Right,
But go
exactly.
on, give
And I
us your,
just won the
if
Yo-Yo Hall
you
of
have to pick
Fame.
up, yes, exactly. You had to pick up a Yo-Yo Top.
Well, if I could only have one for the rest of my life,
Okay.
I would say yo-yo.
Okay, all right. Fair enough answer.
It's easier.
Okay, so we've seen your favorite collectible yo-yo that cross flags Duncan. Do you have any other super collectibles that you just really stand out in your mind as being favorites? Or I can't imagine not being your first yo-yo's got to be your favorite. I mean that just goes without saying.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch in the case. I just pulled that one out, but yeah, there's like a marbly one that I remember, but it's really thin gap. But I always used my blue Imperial after that hat, because that was right about when the plastics were coming in.
Right. Was that were you using the Chevron Imperial, or were you using the fleur-de-lis?
Yeah, just I think it was like this one.
Oh, okay.
But I couldn't find my blue one.
Okay, it looks like I can't see the picture that well, but I think it's a fleur-de-lis.
Okay.
Yeah, well, they're both Imperial.
Because there was one before this.
There
apparently was one before this that said Yo-Yo Top.
Okay. Yeah, that may have been. Well, I can't remember the exact date they quit making the Chevron Imperial, but you were right in that zone when they switched from the fleur-de-lis to the fleur-de-lis.
Well, there was a point where I switched to that, but I could always loop better with that.
Yeah. Well, what was the Tinite? That was the special Tinite plastic. Like, we're going to charge more because it's made out of plastic, not wood.
Well, and our dad always encouraged everything we decided to try.
That's good.
And so when we were doing yo-yos, he goes, okay, you're doing yo-yos. We live in Minnesota. We'll hike over to Luck, Wisconsin. And, so we went over there and had a tour seeing them make these things.
That is neat.
Those kind of memories are great. And now I don't have pictures inside, so they must not have let us. I just have that one picture.
That would have been
awesome,
historic gold. Historic gold.
Yeah.
So, well, hey, thanks so much. And again, congratulations on being selected into the National Yo-Yo Hall of Fame. That's
that's honor. Not something I was aspiring to, but when it happened, it's like, that's really, it's just kind of just an honor to be recognized for something you've done for so much of your life.
Well, I think, 6 decades worth of being involved in yo-yos and talks.
Yikes.
Yeah, right. I think you've certainly earned that honor. So and all the
Appreciate it.
and your
Thank you so
legacy
much,
is, of
Mike.
course, the thousands and thousands that you've taught to yo-yo. So that's a great legacy to have. So thanks a
you so
lot,
much.
Val. Appreciate
All
it.
right. Thank you.
All right. Okay, that was a great interview with Val. We really appreciate her coming on the show tonight. So now is the time we run our traditional pop quiz. This is going to be a 2-answer pop quiz. I'm not going to give you any more hints other than that, but you must put both answers in the comment section. If we are asking for a name, you may use first name only, or you may use first and last name. Oh, wait, I just gave you another hint, I guess. That's fine. We figure if you put the first names in, you know exactly who they are. So we'll allow that. But it may not be people. So I may be tricking you there. It may be a number. So maybe you should be typing in numbers instead of names. So anyway, if you correctly answer both of them in the same comment, you will be our tentative winner or our Simcoe, and Sean will check the time code at the end of the show to see who our official winner is. Okay, Sean, let's roll the pop quiz for this evening and let us know who our winner is.
Doc Lucky's Pop Quiz. One shot, one champion. First to answer both questions in the Facebook comments wins. Get ready.
Name the 2 Yo-Yo Hall of Fame members shown in this photo. Now guys, just so you know, since this is all pre-recorded, if I don't see the answer before this runs out, we're just going to have to run out for next time. This should be pretty easy if you've been watching the show. Just saying, let's see them comments pouring in. Ooh, not everybody at once. Ooh, look at that. Tim Simcoe right out of the gate. Linda and Val. Really good job, Tim. So Tim, you will be our tentative Simcoe, as the name puts it out there. I will check the time codes here after we're done, and you guys will hear who the official winner is on the next episode of Yo-Yo Talk. Thank you everybody for checking in tonight. It's been a pleasure having you.
Okay, that's about it for Yo-Yo Talk tonight. I want to thank Val Oliver for coming on. What a great interview that was. Trying to get somebody on the show for next month, but haven't got a confirmation yet, so I won't say who I've been speaking with. But regardless, it should be fun. So make sure you tune in to our next show on June 2nd. That is exactly 4 days before National Yo-Yo Day, which is on June 6th. So please let us know what you're doing for National Yo-Yo Day. I got word that the Facebook group Yo-Yoing for All is running old episodes of Yo-Yo Talk on Thursdays, so you might check that out. If you haven't signed up for our Doc Lucky's Yo-Yo Talk YouTube channel, please do that. We are assuming you're already seeing this on Facebook, but all the old episodes are archived on Doc Lucky's Yo-Yo Talk on YouTube. And as always, remember, you can never have too many yo-yos. This is Doc Lucky signing off until June 2nd. See y'all then.